Hey guys, welcome back. This is our scripting tutorial part 4. So let's go ahead and cut back down to the basics here. In part of programming in RPG Maker VX, there's been a lot of changes to how you manipulate windows and the input and so on from them. A lot of these changes are actually for the better. So let's go in and take a look at the base menu and how it's constructed. And then once we've got a kind of an understanding on that, we'll go through and I'll actually show you guys how to create your own command windows, the easy way and the hard way. And then of course we can, well, either way, that's what we're going to be doing today, is just kind of revisiting the menu in RPG Maker VX Ace, and using that we'll just kind of get an idea of how we want to adjust and build one inside of, well, RPG Maker VX Ace. So let's go ahead and take a look here. When we look at the menu, we see that it is just a subclass of menu base. So let's go ahead and just go through the main menu, and then what we'll do is we'll follow it back the other way so you can see, well, this is actually doing that type stuff. Why subclassing is actually a very good thing to do in many cases. So when we start our scene, we say, number one, perform whatever the super method does, then create the command window, which if we follow it down here, here's our command window, and it says create a command window and then create a handler for the item command called command item, or I'm sorry, which will then call a method command item, which is right here. So in other words, when item is selected, then execute this method within here called command item, just like that. And then same here for skill, command personal, equip, command personal, status, command personal. So all of those ones require that you select an individual person. So the command individual, or personal, then basically says, go over here, select the last person from the status window, and then activate the dialog. So it says make it active so that you can choose something out of it, and then set the OK handler, or when I press enter, to run this on personal OK, and when cancel, on personal cancel. And then of course if we look down there, on personal OK says what is the symbol of the command window, is it skill, equip, or status, and then call the appropriate scene. So as you can see, reconstructing that stuff, they've created a much more, and you guys probably aren't familiar with it, but in C# and C++, you've got events that are fired when you perform actions. And this is kind of a way of creating that without actually being that. It allows you to basically create a command and then associate that command with a particular action that should occur after it without doing it specifically by name, as it always has been in the past. In RPG Maker VX, you had to create your command and then you basically went off of what command ID it was. And by doing that, sometimes you could get into it and or you could accidentally assign the wrong information to occur based upon whether or not you didn't get your indexes right, along with many other things. But this one here now uses this key system. So you've got these symbols, and each of these symbols is then inserted into an array saying, okay, well, when this symbol is selected, then perform this method. So I know it's probably a little bit above your heads, but either way, at least in understanding basically how it is. The next part of it here is create gold window, and which of course creates the new window, sets its location, and then sets its Y location. And then create status window is the same thing here, it just creates a new status window specifying the width and the Y location. Okay, so that's all it does in start. Is there a post start? If not, then it's going to rely entirely on update. I'm not seeing a post start. So let's jump up to scene menu base. Now scene menu base has create background. Remember, this occurs before this one because it's part of this method right here. When you say super, it says call the parent class and execute its version of the same method. So in this case, it also calls a super, which goes to scene base, but this one here says create the background and then set the actor. Now the create background is right here. It says to create an image or a sprite in the background and then assign that to your scene manager background bitmap. Now that is going to be like a snapshot from the map, and then to set its color as a kind of a gray tint, and that's exactly what you see in the game when you go into your menu. And let's just go ahead and open it up here. When you open up that, the background here kind of has a blackish gray tint to it, and so that's what that is doing. So then after that, of course, it's going to run its post start, which isn't even in here. So it's going to rely on update. Now even in here, I'm not seeing an update, so let's look here. Not there, not there, and of course scene base is going to have one which says update basic, which is going to update each of the windows. And now the windows do their own checking to say whether or not they're active and so on. So there is no update method in the new RPG Maker VX Ace. You think that's kind of weird? I mean, I at first I thought it was kind of weird, but you can add on to it if you want to, but it's not necessarily required for the main menu, nor is it required for the item scene or so on, because all of this stuff now is done in specific commands. We don't have to go in and say, well, update, go in, update all the windows, because that's done for us in our scene base. This update windows did a kind of an ingenious way of updating all your windows, but it basically says, hey, go through everything that is going to an instance variable, which is again anything. This is a method call to this object. It's one that's been available, but we haven't really used it. But instance variables says, give me a list of all of the instance variables within my object, and then it says we'll go through each one of those, and then if it's a window, update it. Pretty simple. So it's those ingenious little simple things that always nip us. So anyways, let's go ahead and let's take a look at creating our own little scene and menu here. So what we're going to do is we're going to create ourselves a new scene. So we're going to say scene mine, and then that is going to be less than scene menu base. Okay, because we want it to be loosely off of the menu. In other words, I want these commands that are here, the next actor, previous actor, etc. Create background specifically is the one I'm looking for. But all we have to do now is say def start, and it is going to say super, which calls the parent, and then it's going to say create background. And then technically speaking, we've got a menu that'll open. It probably won't, I can guarantee it won't do anything, but we can then open it. So let's go ahead and let's create an event here. Let's draw ourselves something to work on here. And let's go with a little dog. Why not, right? Okay. So we are going to say scene manager dot, and then I think it's call, and then you put the scene name in it. Oops, get that out of the way. And then let's see, let's double check that. Let's look at the scene manager here. Run is the main thing. Let's see, it had Was it call? Go to. Call adds it onto it. That's what I thought. So call is the one you want to use, and then you do scene manager return when you want to go back to the scene that you originally came from. So inside of here, we're going to go ahead, we're going to create ourselves a new window. So let's say create windows. And we're going to copy that there, and then let's just go ahead and let's actually just run it as is. What we should see is that it'll create a darkened version of the map when we do it, and nothing more, nothing less. So let's just go ahead and plug this in and try it. And of course it darkened it out, but we don't have any method to exit it, so it did exactly what we expected it to there. So very simply you can create, you know, a scene just like that. And so I mean that's going to be the first part of it. So now let's get to the next. We want to create our windows. So we want to have a command window. So there are two ways to do this, one of which is considerably easier than the other. But I would recommend to do it as they've done in the base classes here. So here you've got like your horizontal command. It basically creates it's a different type of command window that basically says I've only got one visible line number and so on. But each of these here, they all got this make command list. This make command list is one of the most important parts of the command windows. So what we're going to do is we're going to create our own version of a menu command. So what we're going to do is come up here to the top. We're going to call this window mine command, or command mine, something along those lines, right? And then that is going to be less than window command. Let's see, was it window command? Yes, window command. All right. So now that we've got that, you have to make sure that you close the class, and then we are going to modify the make command list method. So we're going to say add command, and then you're going to give it a name. So say for example Bob, and it will then of course have and use the symbol of Bob. And then the next one we'll do command Susie, and then we'll do Susie, and then we'll do one more. And I mean, if you wanted to, you can come up here and do item and equip and skill. So I mean, it's entirely up to you. And then of course the symbol here doesn't have to be anything in particular. It doesn't even have to relate to it. How about T-Rex? Okay, so now we've got our command. It's command mine. So let's go ahead and say mycmd equals a new instance of that, and then mycmd dot, and then what we need to do now is tie what method on this scene will be called when that command is selected. So this is where you say set handler. Okay, so set handler, you then specify the element or the symbol that you're going to attach that to, and then you say method, and then here you will put in the method that should be run on this side. So let's just go and put test. Okay, so the other two commands, Susie and T-Rex, aren't going to do anything. Not yet anyways. So we're just going to go ahead and type in our method test here, and then it's going to output something to our console. Alright, so now we've got that, and then of course we're going to actually make that active again, because whenever you select something, it's always going to deactivate it. So you have to make sure that you always make it active again if you want it to just like select and then jump off to something else. Alright, so let's go ahead and try it out now. Window command. I thought that was the name of it. Let's see here. Window command. Oh, I missed the end, or the N on it. Again, spelling. Make sure you you know, listened in English and all of that so that you spell correctly. Alright, wrong number of arguments, 0 for 2, and I'll tell you exactly why. Command mine is going to, of course, call its initialize method. The initialize method was not specified. Therefore, it is going to use the window command version, which of course wants its X and Y location in which it's going to appear. So, let's come on down here, and we are going to specify where it should be created. Let's just put 0, 0, just so that we can move along quickly. You can specify any XY that you want. It's always going to be a width of 160 though, just because that's the default. You can override it, but that's just the default. Alright, true is not a symbol. And let's see. Bob, set handler. That's interesting. Hold on here. Let's go take a look at the main menu here. And it says window command. It has the thing here, and it's going to call that method. Oh, did I do that wrong? It probably, yeah. You have to put the colon in front of it. That's why. Because if not, it's saying, does this method exist effectively? And of course it does, so that's why it returned true. Alright, so we got ourselves our little menu here. We can see the item, equip, and skill, and if we choose item, if you notice right up here, it says I'm running my own scene. So it did execute what we expected it to. So that's kind of the basis of the menu systems in RPG Maker VX Ace, and I expect to see that, excuse me, I expect to see that, you know, with that being the case, we'll be able to see menus and things be a lot more complex without people having to worry about it quite as much. All they have to do is specify which window is particularly active, and then of course the input for that thing is entirely handled from the base system. So all you have to do is say, hey, associate this command with this method that should be executed, and it will do that. So anyways, I think that's where we're going to call it for right now. I'll actually come back in just a few moments. We'll go ahead and continue building, and just to keep on plugging along here. Okay, we'll catch you guys later. See ya.